I didn't say come over the plate, but I said overcome. That's the difference. You stopped recording, right, Roger?
Yeah, I stopped recording for that one.
Roger
Oh, it's
says
still
that,
streaming.
but later on, he'll say, you want Bob to hear this? It's like, what?
That one was purely for quantum gathering. But if you guys want to do the third thing, we can go and do that one too. It's up to you guys. So,
Well, I'm free for the rest of the night now.
yeah.
Are you talking about headlines after midnight?
No, that one is after the third thing. That one is literally at midnight, but that's like an hour and 45 minutes from now.
What is the third thing?
It's midnight somewhere.
Well, the third thing is basically it's interesting. Like we were talking, we've been talking about like quantum physics and stuff like that, but also we wanted to get into stuff like metaphysics, as well as ancient folklore and everything, and how it all connects and stuff of that nature. You know what I mean? And it's like one thing that I do want to get into that I think would be interesting is something that you, Otto, and I forgot who you were talking to about it, but it was about the Neoplatonists.
Oh, right. Pythagoreans. I forgot. I talk so much stuff.
Yeah,
I can't keep track of what I've said sometimes.
Well, I mean, I've actually done research on the Neoplatonists, and like whenever, and I think Jaffe actually has had this conversation too, where that they have like a real negative outlook about the Neoplatonists and how they influence like the future world that we know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've never delved really deep into the whole story on that, but I did find it interesting when I heard you guys talking about that stuff, because I've never heard anybody actually come at it like that before,
I'm not really, I don't know a lot about Neoplatonism or Platonism. I know some people argue that you really shouldn't divide the school up into Paleoplatonism and Neoplatonism and stuff like that, but I know they took a lot from the Pythagoreans.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know a little bit more about. A lot of Plato's mysticism seems to come from Pythagorean ideas at the time. At least that's what people were saying in ancient Greece at the time. It's like, he's cribbing from Pythagoras, kind of deal. So, but how that influenced the later Neoplatonists, I read a little bit about Proclus once years ago in a book by a guy. What the hell was his name? He wrote a book about how he thought humans had been contacted by space aliens coming from the star Sirius, because these Dogon people in Africa had preserved this knowledge of like the Sirius B and these things you can't see without a telescope. They actually even had the orbital period of the two stars correct. And he argued that these guys were actually descendants of ancient Egyptians who had moved there centuries before. And, he said, well, these are Sesostris' army or what, blah, blah. And that this was ancient Egyptian knowledge that actually referred to contact. He traced it back to what was the guy's name? He was like this theriomorphic kind of fish-tailed god, came up out of the sea and taught civilization to the Mesopotamians.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck was his name? Can't think of it all. It'll come to me if I think of something else. I haven't read any of this stuff in like 30 years. So. But yeah, Robert Temple, that was his name. Robert, the Sirius Mystery, that was the name of the book. And it had quite a vogue when it came out. People were like, wow, look at this. And everybody said, wow, this is amazing. And then it kind of got forgotten in the shuffle because you really can't do anything with information like that. It's like, wow, here's evidence that ancient people knew about, like advanced astronomy. That's cool. And it doesn't fit in with anything else. So it's filed away as a interesting fact, but then they kind of ignore it, which I always found kind of frustrating.
Well, see, with me, I whenever I had gotten involved with learning about the Neoplatonists, I've learned about Porphyry and like the Great Year, where the Earth does its rotation, the wobble.
Yeah, that's exactly that thing I was talking about before, how they were hooking what's happening on Earth into the cycles of the stars and planets.
Mm-hmm.
They were really interested in the Great Year and other things that they thought heralded like a whole new change of age. Oannes, that was the name of the deity. Oannes, Oannes. He was the guy that came out of the sea. But yeah, they were really very fascinated with the idea that as the sun went through one constellation after another on the zodiac, that you would actually have a change, like the age of Pisces. In the Bible, I wish Tan were here for this, but there was a thing where they said to Jesus, who shall we follow when you're gone? He says, follow a man carrying a water jar, because that's the sign of Aquarius. That would be the next age after him, the Piscean age. And this age was recognized by everyone when Nero, who was a contemporary of Jesus, was born. I forget which one of his poets there was going on about this is the new golden age. Everything's been reborn because the great year has changed. This was also one of the reasons why a lot of the pagans went over to Christianity, because you read like the Hermetic text, the pagan priests were saying, yeah, we're going into the age of Pisces, everything's going to be destroyed, all the old worship's going to go, and there's going to be a new religion. So a lot of people saw Christianity, especially once it got imperial backing, obviously, was obviously the religion that everybody was waiting for. And when you had like cohorts of Roman troops showing up with sharp, pointy spears, this became even more evident, rendering unto Caesar, etc., etc., etc. So, but yeah, I think there's always been this idea, and I know the Neoplatonists were kind of into that. I remember in the book he talked a lot about Plotinus and these guys preserving these secrets about Sirius and about the planet, the stellar orbits of the in the stellar system there. So,
Yeah. Now, like Plotinus, that was the one who I was taught that Neoplatonists started from, and then like I've also been told that a lot of people they mistaken Neoplatonists with people who believed in like the Plato and his philosophies, and I was told that they were two totally different philosophies, and the reason why they got it mixed up was because there was Plotinus and then there was Plato, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think, well, I'm trying to remember now, I seem to recall that one of the things they were saying about the Neoplatonists was they were interpreting Plato's writings in a metaphysical way, that Plato, it's kind of like in Buddhism, where like the Buddha said all this stuff, and then like 800 years later, you got these guys up in Tibet, adding all this stuff. Well, he really meant this, and this interprets that way, and yeah, I can have a girlfriend. That's okay. It's like, and in the same way, the Neoplatonists were taking Plato and trying to like, well, he really meant this, and he, this actually is a metaphor for a much more sophisticated and complicated kind of an idea.
yeah,
They had basically come up with. And since Plato knew everything, obviously he knew about this, so this is what this or that dialogue actually meant.
and see
So,
that's kind of what I got out of it. Like they took a lot of the teachings of Plato and they incorporated mystical and metaphysical elements into it. You know what I mean? Like because
Plato had enough of that as it is. I mean, he was very,
yeah.
I'm not going to start going on about Aristotle, I promise.
Well, it's like when you hear people talk about like the teachings of, or like the relationship between the one, you know what I mean, the ultimate source.
Right.
Like you'll hear, well, Karma, whenever she was on the show, she was always talking about the one. And then when Mr. Robot, when I first met him, that's all he ever talked about. I think he kind of got that out of his system now, but like. That was a big Neoplatonist thing too, and I always tried to explain to him like what you guys talk about when it comes to the one was actually like saturated down versions of what Neoplatonists were teaching. You know what I mean? That's exactly where all of that comes from.
Plato did like unity. That was really big for him.
Like the ultimate source of existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thinking about Plato,
Yeah.
I really don't like Platoisms. The idea. Now we used to. as a species, as a mixed culture around the globe in past history, we had deities. These deities reflected upon us. These deities had human traits. For example, Zeus would lust after women, cheat on his wife, and have affair babies everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Total human behavior.
Who's Zeus?
And so you get Plato, who says, no, those couldn't have been real gods. A real god would be just and perfect. And then that sort of gave the foundation for Christianity and the religions after that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think God is one perfect being. I don't see how you can make something imperfect if you're perfect. But that's
I've got a really bad sense of humor.
yeah.
Let's give these beings infinite desires, but only a finite ability to satisfy them.
Yeah.
So we fun for a couple of million years.
Yeah. Well, I don't subscribe to any of that.
Well, the thing of it is it's like when I was talking about the Great Year, okay, that was also referred to as like the world soul cycle. You know what I mean? Like they actually believe that the concept of time, okay, they believe that time was cyclical. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that
recurrence. Yeah.
So that took things to a whole different level, because like, and a lot of people have a hard time understanding the concept between what linear time and cyclical time is, but like if you take and you look at astrology and you see freaking the zodiac, okay, that would be that would basically be a cyclical time. You know what I mean? And all of this I think has been really deceptive throughout time, because if you look at the way that was all put together, and then you look at simple things like the Farmer's Almanac, okay, and you look at the reason why calendars were even invented in the first place, it was to determine what was the best time of the year to freaking grow a crop.
Oh yeah, and that's how people lived by those rhythms. I don't know about you, but I've had the experience of, I've worked places where I had a routine, and after doing it for a couple of years, I would be walking through this building I worked at, and I'm like, is it tomorrow or is it yesterday? Because this is exactly what I've been doing. You kind of lose track of this idea of linear time going somewhere, and instead you're kind of like in this eternal, I'm doing the same thing again. And I could see that working into your whole year, because these were people back then. You had to work all day long, the whole family, just to keep from starving to death. You were hunting, you were gathering, and you hoped you had enough food to keep everybody alive. So it was always the same thing. The berries came out at this time. If you were into horticulture or agriculture, you planted at that time. And so I could see where everything would just, especially when you don't have the kind of idea of we're going from this year to that year, this whole linear time of things are going to change, this, that. Nobody saw any change. Egypt was like the most stable civilization that we know of for thousands of years, that they just did the same thing every day. It's actually very relaxing when you think about it. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
I like cyclic time.
Perpetual cycle of cosmic renewal. That was one of the biggest things one of the coolest things I ever wrote in my life. It was Perpetual Cycle of Cosmic Renewal.
Good name for a band.
Well,
Perpetual Cycle of Cosmic Renewal.
They kind of have a band it's called Perfect Circle.
I like your name better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Basically, if you really break it down, that's what it. like they turn around, they stole like the coolest freaking name that you could actually come up with when it comes to like philosophy, like the perfect circle. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I always like Bonzo Dog Doodah Band is a great band name. Neil Innes, he is great. Oh,
Man.
what's his name? The Goodies was in that too, wasn't he? I forget which one now. One of the Goodies was in Doodah.
Yeah, Bill
Lottie.
Oddie?
I think Bill Oddie was, yeah, he was one of the musicians in that. Yeah. And Neil Innes, of course, he did a lot of work with Monty Python. So, yeah.
So one thing that I have to ask you guys, like, what do you guys think about like the divine will? Like whenever.
Well, he didn't leave me anything when he wrote it, I tell you.
Well, it's definitely one of the considered occult magics. There are many. You have the divine will. You have this astral plane. You have this plane where knowledge is intrinsic, and then you have all these other little planes where certain magics are supposed to go to. So, I don't know. The divine will.
Well, if there's a divinity, it must have will, I suppose.
Well, specifically, like according to this concept, you know, at the center of like cyclical time, there's this idea, which is the great year. But this concept is basically it suggests that like the entire cosmos goes through a cycle with periods of creation, destruction, and renewal. You know what I mean? So it's basically, it repeats itself, and the great year is usually associated with like the motion of the heavens and the duration.
Yeah, I think it's when Saturn goes all the way around.
Dude.
Or all the planets. Or no, wait. It's the precession, right, of the pole star? 25,000 years?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
It's supposed to link to time, and it takes for the celestial bodies to complete a full cycle.
Right. It's all coming back. There's a great book named Hamlet's Mill, which talks a lot about that. It's written a long time ago, and I can never pronounce the names of the authors. I think it was Santiana and von Deckend. Dechend. Von Deckend. I remember that. And the other one was either not Santia, I think. Might have been Santia. No, I think it was Santia. Giorgio Santia or something like that. And I highly commend to anyone here or listening. It's an excellent book, and it talks about how there seem to be coded into a lot of mythology things that seem to indicate an advanced knowledge of astronomy, knowledge of the great year, knowledge of long-term stellar movements that people would usually, those primitive guys, they had no idea. Well, here we got these Dogon people down in Africa that know more than European astronomers knew in the 19th century, and we've got these other guys here that in Mesoamerica that have a better table of Venus's, period of motion in the heavens than European astronomers had at the time. This is old knowledge.
Dogs.
And these are people that were very, and to do these observations, all you need is a good eye and a good brain. It's like humans. I always look like humans. Well, they don't have laser beams and nuclear power plants. How could they possibly have done anything? Well, it's like they got the same brain. You can do a lot with your brain.
Yeah. I think that what really catches my attention about all of it is the whole concept of the world. So, because you've heard me mention the Axis Mundi.
Right.
And whenever you take a look at that whole concept of the world soul, and then the way I've been learning about the Axis Mundi, it's like energy isn't destroyed, it's actually everything, data, information, all of it. It's sent to the Axis Mundi, where it's actually reconfigured into something new. And that right there means like civilizations that collapse and fall. That doesn't disappear, it's just transferred into something new. You know what I mean? And you can take a look at history, look at like the Assyrian Empire or the Holy Roman Empire or the Roman Empire. Something new always came out of it.
True.
You know?
Hey Roger, you ever play you play Dungeons and Dragons, of course.
Yeah.
You know the most powerful spell in Dungeons and Dragons?
What?
Urban Renewal. So seriously, Wizard snaps his fingers and undergrowth turns to a forest where a city used to be.
Nice.
It destroys the city and just forest.
Nice.
It's maybe called
Rural story about that. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it's called Letting in the Jungle. It was one of the Jungle books. Where Mowgli gets all pissed off at these guys, so he gets all his animal brothers together, and they just basically brings in the elephants and the big beasts, and they just tear down the gates and knock everything down. And all the people flee, and then he comes back a year later. It's all beautiful jungle growing everything. It's like, yeah, urban renewal. Go on, Roger.
I think the thing that really sticks out to me the most about this is I believe it's in the Hindu religion where they believe that the cosmos is going to return to its original state of unity. Because I believe it's the Hindu religion that believes in that, isn't it? Where they believe like there was this golden age.
Oh, the yugas, the ages, yeah, gold, silver, brass, and iron. That's in the West too, yeah. And we're in the worst age, but then it's going to get even worse until we're like in a really horrible state, and then we're going to bounce back and generally go back to the golden age when we're all 50 foot tall and there's food trees, and you just like pluck off food and drugs from whatever tree you want, and everything. Everybody is happy, travel, la la la. And then somebody screws up, and then we go to a silver age. It's always somebody screwing up. You notice, don't eat that apple, don't do this, don't do that, and suddenly, bam, we had it so great. Then somebody had to do something. You know, I think that's an interesting little common theme in human. It's like, I told you not to do that. It's like some mom came up with those stories. You know, well, you know what happened when this guy did that? I said, oh, don't touch that. Don't come stomping through my kitchen when I'm baking something. Do you ever have that? I thought my grandmother would be like, you come running through, it's like, no, you're going to make my cake fall. And she'd open the oven to look, and the cold air would hit the cake, and then it would like collapse. Like, see what you kids did? And I'm like, ah.
I thought that was a myth.
What causes it is the opening the oven. It's not the kids. You're going to make my cake fall.
It's a mix between myth and superstition, really.
I got yelled at all the time.
Actually, no. I've done baking in the past, and I hate bacon, but no, Victoria sponges, cakes, they can fall if you open up the oven too early.
We learn something about you every day, man. You're just so amazing, Mr. Edworthy.
Thank you.
He's baking.
Best dresser in the group, dude, I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I look daddy now,
Liverpool. I assumed he was from Liverpool with that Liverpool accent.
He's a Devon man.
He's a Devon.
Yeah.
You can tell, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm going to have to bail out. It's getting kind of late here. I'm fading fast, but this has been a great discussion with everyone. I really enjoyed myself. I'll try to get on earlier next time, too. Were you here earlier, me, too?
Kind of.
Shopping.
Kind of.
Oh.
But,
Who's out antiquing?
Actually, Otto, I think you joined, then V joined only a couple of minutes after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if he'd been here earlier, though, because you guys were on it from 6 o'clock or something, my time?
Yeah, it was 6 o'clock your time, but that was with the Minds Roundtable. We got that out of the way.
Okay.
And then you came in like a half an hour before we started the the quantum gathering.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everything worked out pretty good. I think we disappointed Tan. He wanted to go more into a religious lecture kind of thing, and
I think, well, he said he hasn't done all his homework. He hasn't done as much work as he wanted to do. So I think he needed a bit of breathing space to see.
So hopefully next week we'll,
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully next week we'll dig into it more.
the thing about it is though, like, there's a lot more about what he was discussing than just what he was discussing. You know what I mean? Like, the Dead Sea Scrolls is very, very important when it comes to that stuff. And like the Book of Tobit, like that's during the same exact time period that the freaking Book of Enoch was written. And if you can't see the correlations between Tobit and the Book of Enoch, then something's wrong. You know what I mean?
There
'Cause-
was I think there was a continuum of thought about that time where people were very interested in these subjects. So
Mhm.
not surprising that people would be writing about, you know, a similar topic or have related ideas.
I got my information a little bit messed up. That's why I wish freaking my computer didn't crash, because I'd at least had my talking points and my notes still. But
Well, hopefully next week it'll all be copacetic and everything will go well. But
'Cause-
gentlemen, I really have to go. I'll be talking here all night. I'm already getting a little headache. Not from you guys. I've been very busy day today and coping with all kinds of IRL stuff. If only all life were the internet, it would be so much more fun.
yeah,
But
Well, you got a nice
unfortunately-
life. Smoke some coke. Damn it. I'm just joking. You have a good one, man.
you have
all
a
right,
good
take
one,
care, gentlemen.
Otto.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
All right,
Bye-bye.
man.
Right.
Peace.
Yeah, so it's like that was some of the stuff that I was really interested in when it comes to talk about Neoplatonism. And I've heard a lot of people like come up with like these things about how horrible Neoplatonism was, but I really don't get where that comes from, like what kind of philosophy they're talking about, where it was actually something that was horrible. You know what I mean? Because everything I've actually done research on when it comes to the Neoplatonists, it doesn't show anything that's really negative. Not unless there's some kind of horrible freaking decrepit thing that somebody knows that I don't know about. You know what I mean?
I would have to do further research. My knowledge of the subject is fairly limited.
What were you going to talk about on your midnight?
The one thing I did want to get into later on, though, we can get into it. Well, actually, I've got two really good topics that I wanted to bring up, but right now I'm just wanting to do this and then get it done, and then come back and do headlines after midnight. But this is what I'm wanting to get into. So,
Well, I can't podcast after 1 a.m. Actually, even tonight, I probably should get off now because I've got to get up early in the morning.
oh, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's because like I'm really getting tired of having conversations about politics when it comes to headlines after midnight. We actually had a pretty bad falling out, and not only on this show. Like Mr. Robot was in earlier, and if you noticed his little snide remarks, he kind of got butt hurt with the last conversation we had.
I was gonna say, did you send him the article about the 37-year-old white American journalist who got gunned down in the middle of the street?
Oh yeah, he didn't like that. So that kind of hit him the hard way, and and then it got even worse because I'm trying to get back in the chats just so you guys know, because after that
Say extreme interest in U.S. Politics.
Yeah, I'm back.
As far as his own country's politics is concerned, very little mention.
Yeah, and I did mention it to him, and it kind of fueled it and got it even worse to the point where things were said, you know what I mean? And then before that, we actually had a conversation on Nancy's show too, where things weren't really too copacetic.
Hey,
So-
yeah, you gotta hook me up with Nancy.
Well, no, actually, right now, I don't think anybody's hooking up with anybody when it comes to all this stuff, because like the stuff that's been happening has really gotten.
She wanted to interview me.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you
actually put a message up on the second room tonight. Actually, just reply to Jason's thank you, Becky, bye sort of message.
you know, it just a lot of this stuff, man, and I it's like I've said too before. You know, I'm trying to go a different direction. I'm not feeding into this kind of stuff. Like I do want to get more serious about the stuff I post and the streams I do. I don't want to be getting involved in this, you know, Donald Trump garbage, which to me, to be honest, that's all it is. There's nothing good, positive comes out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of people that like to talk shit to one another, and it escalates into fights. And according,
Also, something I've keep on noticing and become much more prevalent at the moment is there's U.S. Americans are becoming much more insular. You've always been an insular sort of people, but as a simple example, talking to various people, they will only they will not take any interest in international affairs unless it affects the US.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
I tried to take a much more international sort of approach and review tons of news stories from all over the world.
I mean, I think that most of the stuff that me and you've been on, I mean, look at it, dude. We talk to one another. You're in England. I'm here in the United States. So's V. But then you got Mr. Robot from Australia. We've actually had Jaffe on from North Korea. We've had freaking Bob Dub on from New Zealand. You know,
Both Jaffe and Mr. Robert also has a very sort of, let's just call it insular sort of approach, and especially when it comes to US politics.
I find it rotting fabric of American society, to be honest with you. Like, it seems odd that, you know, everybody's feeding off of a lot of this hate mongering, basically, and they want to kind of like push it onto American politics, you know what I'm saying? And it's like most of the shit that I'm hearing that's negativity is coming from people who aren't even in the United States. You know, like most of the racist accusations that are being made are coming from people who aren't even in the United States, that are saying that,
Sure about that one.
you know.
Sure about that one.
But then,
I did. What was that? On Elements General, a couple of months ago, I think it was a conversation with Ria, and I decided to remind people that the United States is in the center of the universe. The United States isn't the only country in the world. It's good to be
Roger, you better get him.
reminded of that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, Roger, you
Sorry.
better get him. He's talking about the U.S. again.
Oh, it's he always does. He's always bad mouthing.
it's just very noticeable. Insular, especially, yeah, our conversations can be.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, okay, it's becoming an inconvenience to me because like right now this is supposed to be the third thing. Okay, now I take and I use the third thing on the Wonderful World of Weirdness, which has absolutely nothing to do with politics. Most of the people who get on there and watch my shows on the Wonderful World of Weirdness doesn't even like hearing this stuff. Okay. But I have jackholes that want to come on and they want to talk nothing but politics and how Donald Trump is a sleazy blah blah blah, or Donald Trump is the greatest thing on the face of the earth, and none of that has anything to do with the topics that I'm freaking wanting to talk about. So I turn around and I start trying to be, lenient about it, and the next thing you know, I'm getting in trouble with YouTube because some jackhole wants to come on my channel and start talking about freaking Nazi shit. You know what I mean?
It's bound to happen. It always happens.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, seriously, it's like freaking that's what it's all about with me. It's like at some point you have to freaking put your foot down and you have to say enough is enough. I am so sick of these people. I really am. And it has nothing to do with being woke or being freaking, conservative.
Enough, Trump.
No, I'm not Trump. I'm talking about the jackasses that come onto my show, dude.
I know. I'm messing with
You know what I mean?
Yeah, those people should get a hobby outside of politics. Learn to crochet, or play a game of chess or something.
If
some grass.
if you know about philosophy, you need to talk about philosophy. If you know about frickin' UFOs, you need to talk about UFOs. If you know about conspiracies, talk about conspiracies. And politics isn't a part of conspiracies. Everybody's onto this whole Alex Jones bullshit. Like it's oh, that's real. No, Alex Jones is he is a puppet, dude. He was a
Alex Jones is a performer.
You're the enemy of America.
I'll call him a performer.
You know what was really the most messed up thing about Alex Jones that I found out? It was bad enough that I found out that, or it was bad enough that he did the whole freaking bullshit with the school. Okay. But then I found out that when he came up with freaking the prison planet, all right, I fell for his shit for a little while. But then after I started doing the research, I found out that prison planet is actually a term that was used by Scientologists. So this jackhole is getting on, and he's convincing people that he's just this, he's into conspiracy, and he thinks that we're freaking all on a prison planet and everything and he's preaching straight from the book of Scientology, dude. And people are just falling for it left and right. Like
Is he preaching, or is he just misappropriating?
He's probably doing both. He's using what he's learned as a way of getting people to listen to him. So he's just going to spill out a whole bunch of stupid bullshit that is meaningless, just so he can get people to listen to him.
Again, like I said, he's a performer.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs an audience. He needs.
Well, since his lawsuits and that sort of thing, he's declared himself as a performer. So it can't be argued.
Will he openly say that he's a performer?
Says he's a performer. Openly.
On television or on stream?
When he got sued for $1 billion, he said I'm a performer.
Well, is he doing it when he is on InfoWars though. Like when he's sitting there in front of his loyal followers, he's saying, "Now look, guys, I am only a performer, and I am." You know what I mean?
I've not watched recent InfoWars. I've not watched InfoWars for many years, but
It's been quite a few years.
from what I've seen of InfoWars, it is, I don't know. Yeah, performance is performance art. If you want.
Mhm. Well, it's like I turn around. I've been doing research on a lot of this stuff, you know, and like when I freaking like even with Mr. Robot, you know, I drop names to him like Al Kendi, you know, ask him if he knows who Al Kendi was. No, I have no idea who Al Kendi was. You know, well, I mean, if you know anything about freaking the esoterics or anything about, you know, conspiracy or anything of that nature, you know who Al Kendi is. He was one of the freaking, he was a philosopher that was involved in a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean? And that's my whole point. It's like, I don't understand how, like, a lot of this stuff isn't common knowledge to a lot of these guys, you know what I mean? Because I'm the type of person, I had to actually sit down and do research into this stuff and start figuring out what it was all about, you know. So when I get on here and I start talking about stuff, I'm not just like pulling up the most popular shit that's freaking on the internet and bringing it up as a topic, you know what I mean? I want to talk about Vocaloids. You know what I mean? That's cool shit. But nobody knows what that is. Everybody's always talking about freaking AI today, and nobody even knows what a Vocaloid is. You know? You guys remember those?
You have to remind me, refresh me.
Back in the day, Vocaloids was like a music it was a technology that they used. There was a...
Like Roger Zapp used to use?
No, it was...
Like little keyboard with the tube in your mouth?
Yeah, well, kind of like it. It was yeah, actually, I think that is it.
Yeah.
That's where it all...
Okay.
They used to create songs with virtual singers and stuff too. It was actually, I believe Yamaha was the first ones that came out with it. Like you can actually put...
There would be Yamaha, Casio, something. Yeah.
You can actually
Yamaha.
input lyrics and melodies in and everything, and they're sung with a synthesized voice and stuff like that. You know, that right there was...
Is that your instrument for when we have our band? When we start the band?
Oh, sure. I can do that. You know, I can do that. But this right here was way before, you know, AI, what everybody calls AI. I know Mark gets all upset when you start using the word AI. He starts.
What are you talking about? Like a generative machine.
Yeah.
What machine generative?
Roger, what are you going on about now?
Oh, that's what they all say. They're like, Roger, what are you going on about now? You know what I mean?
I was just happy going back to Yamaha. Then back in the 90s and late 80s, they were really well known for the chipsets. They created some of the most, especially in the synth keyboards. Yeah, they were really well known for producing really good chipsets.
Well, the thing that gets
Yes, sir.
when you're talking about chipsets, though, are you talking about motherboards?
Yeah, I'm talking about the actual audio chips themselves.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure, because like a lot of people are using the term chipsets on motherboards these days, and like that's not even close to the original terminology for chipsets. You know what I mean? Like
I'm not sure what you mean by I'm talking about chipsets as in
I know.
processing units or
Well,
I
it's
see. Oh, yes, I see.
well,
Yeah, man.
it was like you remember back in the day whenever freaking you wanted to upgrade your computer. I mean, you literally had to go to the computer store. You had to get a big box, and then you had to bring it home, and you had to manually install it into the back of your computer for everything. You know what I mean?
Remember, I've been acting as tech support for many years, and I've done things like corporate and retail. So I have built, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of machines in my time. Pulling out boards and sticking boards in, and
Well, I didn't take you for a hardware guy.
yeah, all through the mid '90s to well, even now, but I've done sort of both hardware and software. I've done network deployments, network infrastructure deployments, and workstation server deployments, both physically sticking them in and configuring them and administrating them afterwards.
Since he's graduated to terms and services, though, he's become extremely lazy, and that's all he ever talks about now. It's like the terms of service. Like he's turned into an old dude that sits around drinking coffee and talking about terms of service and shit. That's all he ever does now. It's horrible. He's
Actually,
retired.
Actually, I'm doing some interesting research at the moment. I'm looking at speed, speed and white longevity on NVMEs using BTRFS, ext4, and XFS for a specific project. I'm looking at encrypted LUX partition volumes, trying to see what's the best for in regards to speed and longevity of the drive, and yeah, the amount of documents I've got on this machine with tons of figures and graphs and data points is seriously mad, man.
That,
So, yeah, I don't just do terms of service contracts these days.
see, we had to bend your freaking leg just to get you to finally say something like that, because like you hold out with your secrets of what you're doing and stuff, and then like one day you say, yeah, look, I've just started this website, and that's like you never mentioned
Well,
it.
I didn't want to say something that I may. I've got a to-do list longer than my arm. I don't want to say something. I'm going to do this, that in 2 weeks' time, when I know it could be dropped for another 3 months.
Well, I mean, it's good to know, like, when you do stuff like that. I mean, because like always hearing about like terms of service and stuff, it kind of gets old, especially when I know you doing a lot more than that. You know what I mean? Kind of let
That's
everybody.
just how our conversations go.
Well, mostly it's because we have to deal with Mr. Robot.
and users that will just click and wonder why the content's not getting posted, or they will just agree to anything and wonder why they've just sold. They just had to sell off their left kidney.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I get into the whole thing with the whole AI music mostly is because of this Vocaloid thing. Because like that was something that always got me interested in a lot of it. And like back whenever I first started, I asked Bob Dub about it because her and Satori was into like the video concept of AI. And she hooked me up with this one website called Udio, and
Okay.
that's when I started doing that and started playing around with it.
Studio.
Yeah, I don't use it anymore. They've kind of gotten a little suspicious. I think they're suspicious because now like you can't download what you create, but
You even own what you create.
well, that's something me and you both have been talking about since we started getting into the whole conversation. Even if I could download it, do I still own it? That's
Yeah, you do own the copyright.
you know. And for me, I mean, I get frustrated about the whole copyright thing in the first place because, like, you know, buying a license for AI music just doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? And I know people do it all the time because Nancy even does it. She'll make an AI song and get a license, pay for it, you know. I just don't. I
Machine
don't.
generative and so on. I, again, misappropriation of the term AI.
Well, I just don't feel like it's right. You know what I mean? Because I know where that comes from. Like, whenever I'm creating that song, I know that the voices are blended together mostly because of Vocaloids. You know, I'm combining snippets of like human singers and stuff and creating a new sound, basically, is what it's all about. Like different pitches and tempos and all of that stuff. That's basically what it's supposed to do. And that's from a long time ago. That's before they even got popular with this stuff. So it's not a new technology.
No, I remember well back in the good old Commodore 64 days. You could there was a entire actually no, it was in the 16-bit era, so it was Amigas and Atari STs and STs when it was popular for game people that would rip off software and we distribute that software to actually stick the little jingles and graphics straight at the start of the piece of software, and and a lot of that was actually machine created, machine generative, and it's just really an algorithm that can do some pattern matching.
Yeah, like
This is why I don't like the term artificial intelligence in this concept.
what's the name of that that new thing where they used to pick on it all the time? It was where the person gets in there and they start singing it and it makes a little like echoing sound. You remember that?
Well, karaoke.
No, it's like that one song that came out. There's what was it? They're breaking into your house and there's raping your wife and shit. What was that? You remember? It was that old synthwave kind of song.
Yeah, I don't know of any song like that.
Yeah, it was. It was on YouTube. It was actually pretty popular for the longest time. It was about.
If it's a popular YouTuber, then I wouldn't have seen it.
Are you talking about Antoine?
Antoine, yes, Antoine.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. Yeah. Now what?
They ripping everybody out here.
Yeah. Now what was the term they used for that kind of music again?
Back in the day when those remixes were being made, I
Yeah.
don't even know if they had a name. A lot of auto-tune got slapped in
Auto-tune.
Stupid stuff. Yeah.
Auto-tune is exactly what I was thinking whenever.
Oh, Okay.
Yeah, that would probably be like some of the stuff for Vocaloid.
Here, I'm not having any idea what you're talking about until you ask me a question. Then I know the answer.
I was glad somebody remembered Antoine, dude, because freaking I forgot. Now the part I love.
I know
is-
all the hood memes. All right.
Well, what's the one with the black woman on there, and she goes freaking about the house burning down.
The whole house burned down, and I don't know, something
It was like-
or other. But she was like, "Ain't nobody got time."
I
for
said, ain't nobody got
ain't
time
nobody
for
got
that.
time for
I
that."
love that. Ain't nobody got time for that. I said, oh Jesus.
that. Oh, that one too. The one that had her pizza or something like that. She grabbed the pizza and got the hell
And
out.
she goes, oh Lord. Ah,
Again, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I
Yeah.
don't do modern populism.
well,
Popular culture.
when you look at like J-pop, that's another thing where that has to do.
J-pop,
You know, it has a lot to do with
K-pop.
Vocaloids too.
K-pop.
No, J-pop.
K-pop.
J-pop is
you
Jap.
lost me.
Korean pop.
You have K-pop and then J-pop. K-pop is Korean, and then
Oh,
J-pop.
then there's the Japanese ones, right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, J-pop. Gotcha.
it's basically experimental music. Now, the K-pop, I believe, is the little girls that are screaming all the time, and J-pop is the little Oriental girls that are freaking like supposed to be like weird little Barbie doll looking porcelain dolls.
Now, you're not supposed to say Oriental anymore.
Oh, I'm not. I'm still trying to
That
figure.
Negro kid over there sure had some rhythm.
Oh, when it comes to experimental
What's it
music,
called?
I'm just thinking of what was the late 70s, early 80s German synth band that did all the experimental stuff.
That is weird shit. I don't even want to get into that. Like they have this. Like, have you seen their dance? Like, have you seen Germans dance? Like, they actually have like this kung fu Godzilla frickin' shit going on. Where, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like they.
I don't know if I know what you're talking about or not.
They like do this robot stuff where their arms are like swinging around and shit, and they're like doing like slashes and they're punching, and like the chicks have dreadlocks and shit. You know what I mean?
It sounds like ska.
No, this is horrible, horrible
That's how
German
the
stuff.
ska dancers dance. In my opinion, from your description, anyhow.
Ska, I think ska is a forgotten art. Nobody even talks about. I can't even call it art anymore. I think I never could call ska. I mean, anything that has trumpets in it and trying to pass itself off as like rock and roll has got to be just destroyed. Cake was okay. I do have to say I did like Cake, but that's the farthest I could go into ska music. Like I couldn't go any deeper.
So they're literally. So I watched the ska dancers, right? And their movements. It's like, it's funny because you got the pelvic thrust, right? The humping midair. And then you got another one that's similar like it. And then the girls do this X swing in front of their legs. It's like they're literally talking to each other in sign language. I want to have sex. Well, I don't.
I don't believe that one bit.
I'll send you a ska clip.
I
And you
just
analyze
I
the
don't believe you.
movements.
Like you said, I don't want to have sex. Whatever, dude.
If
Whatever.
you don't think my analysis of it is correct,
I know you. Trust me, you did not go. I don't want to have sex. It's like whatever, dude. Yeah, I know.
well,
Just remembered the band I was mentioning earlier, the 1970s